Hello, everybody out there in YouTube. We are the Middle Age Guys, and we're coming to you again with what the fuck we are playing this week. I am the Reverend.
The theme here.
And I'm Grandmouse One.
We started doing this a little while ago where pretty much, well, let's just be truthful. As Middle Age Guys, sometimes it's kind of hard for us to actually go ahead and find time to go out of our way and enjoy our most favorite hobby, which is actually playing video games. Because of that, Gray Mouse had the great idea. He's like, hey, so why don't we just talk about the games that we play over the week? You know, whether or not it be a random game that we picked up or an old game that we had shoved in our shelves that we decided to pop out after, you know, it collecting dust for years or decades. You know, then we can go ahead and we can go ahead and talk about, you know, playing the games, what we thought about them, and we would actually put ourselves in position to play the games that we actually have. Because if you're like me and you haven't seen the inside of my house, because if you have, you'll know that everything that's behind me right here is maybe less than half of what I have. You start to come to the realization, it's like, wow, you know, unless I win the lottery really, really quick and retire tomorrow, my backlog might be more than a decade long. So, in an effort to go ahead and actually get us sitting down and playing the games that we have a hold of, or, you know, playing the games that we actually went ahead and bought on a particular week, that's what this particular topic has been about. So we're going to take a time out to go ahead and talk about the games we've been playing, our initial thoughts. None of this is going to be a full review or anything like that. And if there's anything that we just happen to continue to be playing from what we had mentioned previously, we might actually touch on that also. Okay, so floor is open, guys. What have you been playing this week?
I actually had to go back to a game, and yeah.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
You know, okay, King of Fighters 94. The first 3-on-3 King of Fighters. Now, whether it's the first King of Fighters is debatable because Fatal Fury said the King of Fighters on it, but
yeah,
King of Fighters 94, the first 3-on-3. There was no team edit. There were just teams laid out, and hell, remember when I first saw this in the arcade, I was like, damn. So they put Fatal Fury motherfuckers, Art of Fighting motherfuckers, and then just, you know, a new library of a roster here. Mm-hmm. And they had storyline to it. So this was, yeah, and it's for the Neo Geo CD. Neo Geo CD. This is not, yeah. So I went back to playing it using this.
Wow.
For my Neo Geo CD. So yeah, I was playing with that and, you know, rather enjoying it since I haven't played King of Fighters 94 in a while. I have 2 more games here, but does anybody else want the floor for a bit?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Does it take 23 seconds to go ahead and load the end dying stream if somebody loses?
No, it's not like the PlayStation version of King of Fighters 95. No. I mean, yes, it does take a while to load like from person to person, but it doesn't do that bad when it comes to dying quotes or death. Okay? It doesn't do that.
That's all I wanted to ask. Gray Mouse, go ahead and jump on to let me compose myself before I jump to my own thing.
So, continue with the theme, pun intended. But I actually pulled out King of Fighters 99. I was playing with that this week as well. So, I mean, wow. And I just remember I picked Aori's team. And I think that was one of those times where he had that one move that beats the hell out of you, throw you on the ground, and like bends you and looks back all evilly and then hits you one more time, you go flying off. That's one of my favorite moves of him. So that was pretty much how I finished all my opponents throughout the thing. But the thing was, I was actually playing on virtual consoles. So and it's not the real – it is a real thing, but it's still still King of Fighters 99. So I did find myself playing King of Fighters 99 this week. And I have several more games, but go ahead, Rev.
Yeah, I'm actually still continuing to trudge through Ys 8, Lacrimosa Dana. About the time that we did this, last time we went ahead and we did this, what were we playing this week video, I thought I was around 90% done with the game. Turns out that I was probably more like 85% done. The problem is that it's very much JRPG when it comes toward the end game, where it is very, very grind heavy, where in order for me to get like the best equipment and the best, level up my guys to make them powerful enough to go ahead and actually be able to go through the last few portions of the game comfortably, it is very grind heavy. So like literally all the way up until the point that I was playing last week, the difficulty curve and everything was pretty steady, and it followed the regular progression of the game and the story and everything, where I didn't have to worry about like, okay, every time I open up a new area, I'm going to spend a few hours just to grind out a few levels and everything like that. Now, you can sit there, you could, through natural progression, you could go ahead and make it through. In fact, there are certain levels where you have to pass through the areas and the game just tells you, run, avoid all enemies. All right. You're not going to be able to handle any of the enemies here just yet. They're going to kill you. So just run, get through it, get to your destination. Right. Now I'm at the point where I could sit there. In order for me to actually go ahead and get all the best stuff, I have to grind. And, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to finish this game at 100%. Because there's still those two quests that I missed in the previous chapter. But hopefully within the hopefully next time we go ahead and we make this video, I'll be done with this game. Yeah, and that's pretty much my first game. So second game up, guys. Theme, you raised your hand. Go ahead. F-Zero.
Look, does this game need an introduction? I mean, it's a launch title for the Super Nintendo. It's a great racing game. I think the only problem, quote unquote, problem with it was that there was only one player. But, it was a launch title for the SNES. Great racing, great soundtrack, great concept, really, because even back then, it was rarely to go into like, what's the future going to be like in racing? And they'll have like racetracks way above cities. And yes, you can crash, you can die, you can actually cheat on this game. On Port Town specifically, because there's a ramp, and once you like go through it once, the first lap, and then there's a ramp where it launches you up. Well, you can jump to a certain part of the track, and the spaceship that gives you energy can actually snatch you up and take you back. It's like, no, motherfucker, you were cheating. No, and takes you back for a little bit. I hope I'm able to demonstrate that one day on camera. So, people are like, no, you can't do that. Yes, you can. But great launch title for SNES. Great racing game. If you haven't played it, please go ahead.
What are you waiting
for? First F-Zero.
Yeah.
Play it.
I still think Mute City is the best music soundtrack. That's one of my favorite.
Wow. The music, as far as the best track on that game, it's very debatable to me.
Well, yeah, it's very not debatable. It's
no,
very objective.
City is the first thing that you heard, but yeah. I like Silence. I like Port Town. Come on, the soundtrack all around, even Deathwind was crazy because every piece of music described where you were.
Yeah.
So I really dig the soundtrack.
Cool.
All right, for my second game is a game that was just released, Monster Hunter World. If anybody's a fan of Monster Hunter, I highly recommend you picking this up. Monster Hunter. What else left to say? I just started. In fact, I think I got maybe hour and a half into it, and then I started digging into like your weapons and armor and all that stuff. And again, it's JRPG. It's grindy. When you want to upgrade your stuff, you're gonna have to grind for it. Pick up the materials. Especially a lot of times the materials you don't even for the next like level up or whatever for your armor and your weapons. Some of them you don't just question marks, and you're just going to have to go out in the world and gather different things in order to see, to figure out. Unless you got a cheat book, that's not fun. But I'm just saying, though. So it's a lot of experimentation, a lot of discovery in this game. So I can't say much about it because I only played like an hour or 2 hours of it. But again, it's one of those games like, yeah, I'm going to have to put this down where you put aside 5 or 6 hours for me to really enjoy it.
Because it sounds like you've just gotten through like the tutorial hunt, right?
Yeah, I just finished that.
Yeah. Because the thing is that I know as far as playing, just dabbling like with the previous ones on some of the older systems, the going through a hunt can be it's not a straightforward thing. You have to sit there and systematically. There's a huge learning curve to everything.
Yes. Or you will get your ass handed to you and you will faint, and then you're gonna be like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it too is that what a lot of people don't realize with the demo that they put out for the PS4 just a little while ago is that Monster Hunter World is doing really, really good right now. It's one of the it's actually Capcom's best-selling game, over the last few years. What the thing is the thing about it is that if folks only played the demo, where they just went through this series of hunts and stuff like that, is that the demo really didn't cover like the most addictive part of the game, and that's really like what you do with all the stuff that you farm off of all of the monsters that you actually hunt in order to the whole farming and then crafting your equipment. That whole process right there is where a lot of people lose like hours of time, and the thing about it is that because of how it goes, and because you don't have any real classes, it all depends on your equipment and everything else. People can get really lost in that particular process. That's one thing that wasn't there in the demo,
Wait, quick question. Besides this Monster Hunter, when was the last one that was on a Sony console? Not a Sony portable.
Well, and what's really weird is look at that word up there on the top left.
Yeah.
It says console exclusive.
Well, the
exclusive content, right?
No, exclusive.
I'm pretty sure it's
but until on PC, and that's it.
Yeah, until it releases out on PC. But last time it was on,
isn't it on the Xbox One?
No, it's not. Yeah. Last time it was on a Sony console, a home console, was when it first started as Monster Hunter on the PS2. Where it really took off was on the PSP. Okay, when people would sit there and they would just group together, they would ad hoc together, and they would go on hunts.
Yep.
Then it found a home on the DS and the 3DS for quite a bit. Where that's where it was at for the last few years. What a lot of people are hoping to see, hopefully, is that Monster Hunter Double X shows up on the Switch. All right, because it made it out there. It made it out there to the Switch in Japan. I don't know why it's not localized for the Switch here. Somebody's got to figure that out. But I fucking digress. All right. Okay. Let me go ahead and cover what I've been playing. Next set of things that I've been playing. Like over the last few weeks, I've been messing around with the Wii, and also messing around with setting up emulators and other things for like Wii plugins and stuff like that. During the process, I kind of got hit at an impasse where all of a sudden, guess what? Everything was working except for the Wii games, which before I went into this process, that was the only thing that was working that I gave a fuck about. All right. But, now I've got like the Wii, GameCube, and I've been able to go ahead and actually verify that a lot of emulators have worked. But because I had to sit there and go back and make sure that the Wii was working correctly, I went through and I started playing through some games. In fact, some of the games that I started playing through, I realized I thought I had owned them, but I did not because I had them just on the Wii on the hard drive. So I actually went out of my way. I got the whole Trauma Center collection for the Wii.
You
All right.
played those? Oh my God! You must play those games.
The Trauma Center games. All right. Look. Okay. All you have to do is you have to look at this freaking thing right there, Atlas. Okay, to know what it's about. Okay, it's a freaking set of Atlas games. Okay, and they started out on the DS using touchscreen controls and everything else. Really crazy set of games. I haven't finished either of them. There's Trauma Center 1, there's Trauma Center 2 on the DS, and then they put out these for the Wii. What's disappointing though is that there hasn't been any put out after that, which is surprising because the 3DS is still really successful. The Wii U had the gamepad, which had touch controls and everything else. Hopefully, maybe we'll see something else on the Switch. But if you ever want to go ahead and see what it's like, and you don't have like Surgeon Simulator on Steam, what it may be like to be like a surgeon in operation, in surgery and everything like that. This is a great game. The problem with the Wii version, though, is that some of the pointer controls are kind of floaty in comparison to the touch controls on the DS, which is kind of the reason why they decided to go ahead and take out a lot of the time limits that a lot of the stages had. Like on the first Trauma Center for the DS, all of the stages had a time limit to it, okay? And because of that, you really had to be on point on figuring out, okay, each one of these different stages is pretty much like a puzzle, and you have to figure out the best way to go ahead and finish it up to keep yourself under time limit, okay? They realized that didn't work so well with the Wii, with the pointer controls and everything else. Because of that, they took out the time limit for a lot of the stages on it. There's still a few stages that require you to go ahead and do the operation on the time limit, but thankfully, not all of them are like that. Great thing is, though, is that if you want to go ahead and insert yourself into a hospital drama without overdosing on soap opera episodes of General Hospital, this is a good way to do it. Okay? Other than that, I can't even sit there and suggest that you go ahead and you watch episodes of Monster as far as anime, but that's something else. Probably the closest thing to get to it is maybe, I don't know, Bones. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
House.
Oh, House. Yes, that's it.
House.
That's who I was talking about. All right.
Not talking about Roadhouse either.
No.
Yep.
House.
Yeah, House. All
That
right.
too.
Okay. So I know we usually talk about this sort of thing in threes, guys. Is there a third game that y'all have been playing that you want to go ahead and wrap this
I
up
have
with?
one. Speaking
Go
of
ahead.
Capcom, with the Monster Hunter World. Yeah, Monster Hunter World, that did go Xbox One. So I don't understand why it says console exclusive on it. I thought it said console exclusive content because of the Horizon Zero Dawn stuff. Because
Yeah.
could have swore it went Xbox One. But for my last game, speaking of Capcom, yeah, this one here was something else. And it caught people off guard, and back in the day especially. But whenever Capcom and Disney got together, they made certain things that were gold. Now look, Yes, that. First of all, hearing the DuckTales theme song in 8-bit.
Chiptune. Yep.
Wait a minute. First of all, that's a catchy tune as it is. They did a good job on having it on 8-bit. But of course, everyone's favorite track on this game was The Moon. I mean, that's made top 10 lists all over the place. If that doesn't get you, into playing this game, I don't know what will. I don't know. But your Scrooge McDuck, look, great game all the way around. Play it. Just go out, play it. I can't say anything bad about the game. I just can't.
Or you could play the remastered version, which is on.
I have the remastered version, and I might be playing that next week.
Thankfully, what they didn't do with the remastered version when they did the arrangement on the tracks for the soundtracks is that they didn't decide to remix it into something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So the tunes are very, very close to what you were familiar with that cartridge right there.
I hate when video games try to do that. I understand that they're trying to, remix it, but they should at least keep certain things on point to what the original is. I mean, for certain games it works, but
others not so much.
No, others not so much.
Yeah.
Gray Mouse, do you have a third game?
Actually, I have 4 more games.
What?
I could do them all I could do most of them together. Now, sticking with the Capcom theme that we've been going on here is.
Wait a second.
Street Fighter V, the arcade version. This is how Street Fighter V should have came out 2 years ago. I did a video on this on Street Fighter V, but this one, it actually did it right. They actually got the arcade mode. In fact, they actually have, when you select arcade mode, they actually have a selection where you play the style of Street Fighter 1, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 3, and Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5. So it's very interesting. But, yeah, I mean, I've been playing a lot of fighting games. And due to that, that my fight stick I've been using, so this thing has gotten a lot of use out of this week. So,
yeah, that has an arcade mode.
It should have been, yeah, it should have been. It definitely should have been the way. The arcade edition definitely should have been the way. It should have been this way. The first time. Capcom is notorious for not putting out, a complete game at the beginning. I mean, I don't even know why I bought Street Fighter V when it first came out.
I'll just wait for Ultra Street Fighter V.
I don't know. This might be the last one.
I'll just wait for the Ultra Street Fighter V. I'm gonna stick with that. I'm just gonna stick with that for now. It's just, God,
well,
no.
That's not a bad bet. What were the other games that you were talking about there that from you had there?
This was not really from Capcom. This is from SNK, King of Fighters 14. So again, you're putting miles on your fighting stick, huh? That's what I said. I put a lot of miles on my fight stick this week. I was playing 14. I was playing Street Fighter 5.
14. So you dabbled in the 2 King of Fighters games.
Yeah. I mean, this week was nothing but fighter games. And then on my Switch, I ended up purchasing for the eShop Art of Fighting 2. So I got that so I can have it portable. I mean, come on. And then I bought Mercenary Saga Chronicles, which is a Final Fantasy Tactics type of game. Ogre Battle. So, yeah, I mean, so pretty much exactly. Pretty much.
You know what's funny about this game? This did not come to the States on the Super Nintendo.
No.
Art of Fighting 2 came out for the Super Famicom, and it stayed there.
Yeah.
They were like, "Fuck you, America! You're not getting it." Wasn't a bad rendition of it. It's just,
I don't even think Fatal Fury came out on Super Nintendo either.
yes, it did.
Did it?
It
One,
did.
two, 1, 2, and special. Yes, it did.
The special did?
Yep.
Yeah.
Got them all.
So this week I definitely did a lot of fighting games.
Mhm. Reverend,
Yep.
were you digging for something to show us, or
Yes, because I didn't realize that it was out of battery. This right here, I don't know if this is gonna show after.
Yeah, I can't see it.
It's oh wait, not camera. No, what the fuck? No.
Wait, you're dabbling with the camera?
No. I have been dabbling with
The plaza?
Street Pass, Me Plaza. All right. Okay. If you have a 3DS, all right, and you will know that there's the Me Plaza games, a set of mini games, especially if you have your DS on all the time in sleep mode for Street Pass to be activated and everything else. I happen to be working at a location that gets hit up with Street Passes like literally anywhere from 3 to 12 every fucking day. Okay? All right. Because of that, me sitting here and playing the Street Pass, actually, it eats up a lot of my time. Okay?
Cool.
The Me Plaza Street Pass games that they have has grown from like the initial 4 or 5 that they have to a full like 12 games that are available on the Plaza. One of which is a fishing game. Yes, I've been all over that shit. I have been all over that shit. All right. But the funny thing is that, you know, especially this last Friday with our department moving from one building to another, I found myself, you know, I was like, okay, well, I've got all of my equipment loaded up. I've got my PC loaded up. I've got the whole labs loaded up. We're not doing any work. So we've got to go ahead and find some way to go ahead and fill our time before the moving company comes in and they just totally kick us out of the fucking building, right? So yeah, I was playing my DS on my 3DS, and I went ahead, looked at the Street Pass Me Plaza, had a shitload of visitors. I went ahead and I buried myself in that for a few hours because there was enough people who were tagged on the Street Pass. I would have to say, this is one of the great things about the 3DS, especially if they still keep the service open and everything else, with as popular as it is, depending on where you're at and all of that, is that if you have your 3DS on sleep mode and you bring it along with you, if you get tagged up for Street Pass, that shit will take up a lot of your time. And surprisingly, I would have to say, you know, so far my favorite game on here has been Flower Town. Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I have been playing over the last week. Was there anything else that we wanted to go ahead and point out or anything that we want to go ahead and point out and mention what we're hoping to touch before we do the next video on this one, guys?
No, I'll just get to them when I get to them. I mean, now games are just random at this point. I'm just like, you know, or I'll be thinking about a game while I'm at work, and I'm like, I'll play that when I get home.
There is one that I do want to go ahead and crack open and get to sometime this week, and that's this.
Oh, God.
This is the East Asia Soft limited edition run of Unepic.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I went and I put this on pre-order through PlayAsia, and I actually picked this up earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've never played Unepic on Steam, it's an indie game that's basically, it's kind of a mix between a Metroidvania and an action RPG. Basically, you're going through like action platforming and all of this other stuff. But basically, it's about the main character right here he's sitting there in the midst of a weekend D&D session with his buddies, and somehow through some sort of, shenanigans or whatnot, he ends up actually getting sucked into a D&D dungeon, all right, as himself, realizing what the hell is going on. I got to figure out a way to get out of here before
that would suck. Or
you know what? The first question I'd be asking myself if that happened to me is, who's the fucking dungeon master? That would be the first question on my mind.
What he realizes is that he's not any sort of cool fucking player class or anything else. He's just him, basically in his fucking sweater, jeans and sneakers at the base of a fucking dungeon trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. So, and because of that,
Mr. Rogers got put in the D&D.
Yeah, and because of that, the writing that goes along as far as the storyline goes has a lot of geek humor, especially for guys who play like the tabletop RPGs. So, yeah, Unepic on PS4 by East Asia Games. I'm definitely going to crack this one out of the Celphane. Hopefully, I'll go ahead and at least play through the introduction like I do with 90% of my games that I crack open through from the Celphane. So hopefully I'll be able to spend some time with that. What about you, Grey Mouse?
Yeah, for me, I'll probably continue to what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get more skillful with Zangief in Street Fighter V. So I'm getting a lot better now to where I could, doing those fucking
circles,
circle everywhere. And my hand's like, oh my God, no. But so I'm actually getting pretty good with him to a point to where it's becoming smooth. It's not as like stop and then do the move and type thing. It's starting to get all. So yeah, I'll be working on my skills on Street Fighter V and probably dig back into Monster Hunter World. But yeah, I kind of like what the theme said. I really don't have a set theme that it just like I'm sitting at work or I'm in a car driving home and freaking Highway 5 traffic, everybody knows, or Highway 15 traffic. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like playing X, X game. And I just come home and put X game into the console and start playing it and ended up losing, 4 to 5 hours in it. I kind of like that, but
you see, that's the reason why F-Zero got popped in, because I was doing a comparison between the cartridge and the SNES Classic Edition, because it's there. Mm-hmm. But I actually was playing it on freaking cartridge. That was just a better route for me, even though I have.
It's funny. I have that on the Super Nintendo and the Super Famicom. I don't know why I have 2 copies of it, and I have it on the Classic as well.
Maybe I will start dallying into more of my Super Famicom games.
Yeah. Well, I know one thing that's going to be arriving during the middle of this week or toward the end of this week or toward the end of the next week, because it's still Saturday today, that I'm definitely going to go ahead and I'm gonna pop up in and I'll be able to do the comparison thing, is that Secret of Mana remake comes out on the 15th. So I will be picking that up, and I'll be doing the remake thing. I'll be doing the comparison. So, but yeah, that's pretty much what we've been playing this particular week, and that's also a little bit of a peek of what we might be playing come next week. Chances are, folks, it's probably not going to happen that way because we're 3 middle-aged guys who are trying to struggle to find time to enjoy our favorite hobby in all the world. All right, but if there's something that you've been playing on a regular basis that you think that you'd like us to check out, or if there's any thoughts on the games that we happen to cover in this particular video, we'd like to know. You can leave us our comments. You can let us know by leaving comments below. While you're at it, if you really enjoyed this video, you can mash on that like button. If you honestly didn't enjoy it, I don't blame you if you hit the unlike. Okay. And if you do care, if you want to go ahead and find out what we do next time, what we want to, you want to follow us whenever we put out new videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and you'll know whenever we put out a new video. All right. With that, that's pretty much the games we've been playing this week. Thank you very much for watching this video all the way up until this point. I am the Reverend.
The Theme here.
And I'm Gray Mouse 1.
Once again, for the benefits of common sense, logic, and gaming. Credits.